Hi, buddy. Hope you're having a great week. I want to share with you a really good question that was asked in one of the groups that I look after about what happens when my advert stops performing. And in this case, it was an online valuation tool. And the agent had been running an online valuation tool for quite a long time, been doing really well. And all of a sudden, it just stops performing. Now, there's a few things that you want to look at and consider when this happens. The first thing I always do in Ads Manager, and this is why Ads Manager is so important, is have a look at something called frequency. And frequency is just how many times people have seen your actual advert. So you've got an audience, a local audience, maybe there's 30,000 people in that audience. If they've all seen it on average, say 3 or 4 times, there's a good chance that the frequency is starting to get high and it's just becoming background noise, or it's just like a bad advert that you see on TV over and over again. People start ignoring it. So frequency is something that, first of all, you need to look at just to see how many times on average people have seen that, and Facebook is going to show you that. You can go into Ads Manager, you can put the date range on maximum, and you can start seeing exactly how many times on average people have seen it. Now, a couple of other things to bear in mind is that sometimes you just need to have a look, see how your ads performed over perhaps a week, perhaps over 3 days, and perhaps over 1 day. And again, in Ads Manager, you can change the date range and you can start seeing your key metrics, your key data points on how it's been performing in that sort of range. How well did it do yesterday, 3 days ago, 7 days ago, and perhaps even go back 14 days just to see how it was doing. Now, if it looks like that it hasn't done a lot over that period of time and that the cost per lead is expensive and some of those other data points such as link click-through rate are very low, then you probably need to change the creative. It normally always comes down to the creative. That's the image you're using or the animation that you're using. And if you change that, pause the original one, change the creative up, give a new image, and then send that off and see what happens. You should see that your advert starts performing better, especially if the frequency was high. Now, with that previous advert that was doing well, don't get rid of that. Just pause it, because often a good winning ad is always a good winning ad. It just needs a bit of a rest, needs a little bit of a cool down. On an online valuation tool, for example, you can sort of rest it for a few weeks, few months, and then turn it back on and see what happens. People tend to have a very short mind on Facebook, and there's a good chance that the advert's going to perform again for you. So you don't want to just turn it off and forget about it. If it's done really well, then I would definitely keep it, and in a few months' time, turn it back on. So a few things to take away there. First of all, look at your frequency. How many times are people seeing that advert? That's a real good reason to use Ads Manager in Facebook, because it's going to show you on average how many people have seen your ads. If it's a high frequency, then it's probably the creative. People have seen it too many times. Look at changing the image or video, whatever you're using. Look at your data as well, over the last day, 3 days, 7 days, perhaps last 14 days, to see if your leads have been low all that time, or perhaps they've only just dropped. Because if they've only just dropped over the last few days, it might be that they will improve again. You do have ups and downs with Facebook advertising, especially over weekends and special dates. So that's why we look over a certain period of time. And don't forget, turn those good ads back on in the future, because there's a good chance that will start performing. So I hope that helps. We'd love to know how long you leave it until you make changes to your adverts and what you're doing, any really good results that you're getting. And I'll speak to you again very soon. Thanks then.